Hello everyone, and welcome to today's match in round 1 of the St. Louis VGC Draft League. On our left, we have Senna rocking a Tyranitar, Excadrill, Houndstone, Corviknight, Infernape, and Kommo-o. As you can see, Senna was able to draft a very strong sand team. On the other side, in red, we have Vybruh with a Slowbro Grimmsnarl. I believe that is a Mega Gengar. Give me just a moment. Yes, Mega Gengar, just normal Emboar, Altaria, and Orthworm. So right off the bat, we see a sand team bringing a very standard sand core, and then we see a very powerful combo of Mega Gengar and Grimmsnarl. Senna is going to need to be aware of potential Perish Trap shenanigans. Grimmsnarl can fill the roar of Incineroar with side parting shots in order to trap the opponent. Mega Slowbro, I think I said normal Slowbro earlier, my apologies. Also a possibility for being a substitute for the wall. Shell Armor makes it incredibly difficult to take down on the physical side, but here we go straight into the battle. We see Emboar and Grimmsnarl up against Infernape and Kommo-o. So right off the bat, a ton of fighting types on the field, with two of them being firefighting starters. So speed advantage technically goes to Vybruh with Prankster Grimmsnarl, but Fake Out on Senna's side with that Infernape could put a stop to any screens or other shenanigans it might want to go for. Currently, I don't see anyone with an obvious advantage in lead, but interesting that Senna did not go for weather straight off the bat and no weather abusers to be able to immediately switch in. I'm curious what each coach is planning here. So, thinking about Emboar immediately switches out from Vybruh, coming into a Gengar, predicting a fighting move. Plenty of those going around. Fake Out, however, does not go into that slot, instead going into the Grimmsnarl, trying to stop some sort of priority move. And we'll see, Clangorous Soul goes out immediately, giving a massive Omni Boost to the Kommo-o at the cost of its HP. We see it is a bulkier set with leftovers to try to recover some HP, but the Mega Gengar, not yet Mega'd, but it has entered the field unopposed. So this is a little bit dangerous. Gengar is not the bulkiest Pokemon, and so we don't know if it's going to be able to survive some of these hits. Any fire moves from Infernape or a boosted dragon move from Kommo-o could do serious damage to it before it can get a Perish song off, if that's even what he's going for. Kommo-o is such an interesting Pokemon to have into Gengar, with the ability Soundproof and Bulletproof. Soundproof blocking the Perish, and Bulletproof blocking the Shadow Balls and Sludge Bombs that Gengars like to throw out. So we see the Mega Evolution come from the Gengar, becoming the fastest thing on the field, and we see the Parting Shot taking the offensive stats of the Kommo-o back down to neutral. What is the Grimmsnarl going to go out into? Is it going to go out into the Emboar just to have something thick on Vybruh's side? Or, straight back into the Emboar. We see it's still at full health, but a Clanging Scales neutral special attack. Neither of those Pokemon enjoy taking that, and a double up with the Heat Wave. Both Pokemon stay up, but they are very much injured. That Parting Shot was crucial to keep both Pokemon alive, and let's see what this Mega Gengar does. It goes for the Tech, the Dazzling Gleam, but we saw that the Mega Gengar is not invested in speed because the Infernape did go first, and with the speed boost on Kommo-o, both of Senna's Pokemon are faster than Vybruh's. That special defense boost, keeping the Kommo-o alive against that quad super effective Dazzling Gleam, was absolutely massive here. And now Vybruh has a problem. Both Pokemon, any bit of chip damage will take them out, and none of them have any sort of priority to try to chip off the Infernape or the Kommo-o. Gengar goes for Protect, trying to stay alive for one more turn, and it will be able to. No protection breakage, and a Clanging Scales will take out this Emboar. Didn't do anything this match, unfortunately. Switched out and then switched back in. And Aurasphere comes out, predicting a switch-in on that slot, trying to catch something, knowing the Clanging Scales would have taken out this Gengar if it stayed in anyway. So now we see, is there something with some priority? We see the Grimmsnarl. It could have Fake Out potentially to allow one of these two Pokemon to not act, but both Pokemon have shown that they have the ability to outspeed and hit this Mega Gengar. So we'll have to see what this Grimmsnarl is cooking to be able to help out in this situation. Meanwhile, Senna is just showing that even without the obvious sand core of Tyranitar, Excadrill, and Houndstone hitting the field, everything's going just fine. We see a Protect from the Kommo-o, blocking the Fake Out, allowing more leftovers chip healing. As a Heat Wave comes out from Infernape, a Pokemon dodges, but it's not the Mega Gengar that does, so it goes down. The Grimmsnarl stays up, but doesn't do anything useful that turn, unfortunately. Infernape still getting chipped down with that Life Orb, but Kommo-o still at +1 in both defenses, and now is at a quarter of its health with that leftovers. We see the final Pokemon that Vybruh brought. It is the Altaria with the Cloud9 to ignore the sand, so we can see why Senna may not have led with that, just to have Vybruh turn it off with the switch into that Altaria. This is not a great situation. I think this is probably where Vybruh needs to just take their time and think about how they want to make adjustments in this next game. This was an incredibly strong lead that Fake Out into the setup from the Kommo-o. It switches out now, trying to maintain differential. Here comes the Houndstone. What is he reading? Goes for a Protect on the Infernape, just staying alive. Altaria also goes for Protect, doesn't want to take a Dragon move, but that does give the Grimmsnarl time to set up some screens. So we've seen Parting Shot, we've seen Reflect, we've seen Fake Out. You have to assume the last move will be Light Screen. You can't know for sure, of course, but it is looking very, very likely just to have complete defensive coverage against the offense that the Sand team could put out. My apologies, please hold for one moment. I just realized that I had the wrong group name. That is an error. Please allow me to correct that very quickly. This should be the red group. There we go. Here comes a Heat Wave from the Infernape, doing big damage. It was a Reflect put up, not a Light Screen, and you see the Grimmsnarl would have gone down if it had connected earlier. A Will-O-Wisp comes out. Once again, the Grimmsnarl dodging these lower than perfectly accurate moves. Altaria shows to be having leftovers of its own just to keep itself up, but yeah, again, both trainers are in a position to where it seems like they're just stalling. I think Vybruh is taking the time to just really consider the future. Grimmsnarl's just going for Reflect. We see a Heat Wave going out. This will take out the Grimmsnarl, making the Altaria the last Pokemon on the field. Houndstone will go for a Last Respects, wouldn't do very much. Maybe going for another Will-O-Wisp, we'll see. There's the Will-O-Wisp, hits into the Protect. And right now, Senna is thinking, can I maintain this differential? Can I maintain this 4-0 win in the standings in order to really secure the first place in this red group? The highest differential currently over there is +3. There are plenty of Pokemon games left to be battled, but it's something to consider going forward. A Heat Wave will take this Infernape down very low. A Will-O-Wisp will negate the leftovers healing and prevent any physical attacks the Altaria wants to go for from doing maximum damage, but any sort of chip or just one more Heat Wave from this Infernape will take it out. We'll see if Senna really is considering differential in this position, or if Senna is wanting to maintain the knowledge advantage and just ignore revealing another Pokemon. But of course, you can always go into your already revealed Pokemon Kommo-o. Altaria is just continuously going for Protects, and Kommo-o has the means to just take it out. No more resisted Heat Waves. Going for a Clanging Scales, just single target, big damage. Will probably take out this Altaria with this burn, negating any leftovers healing. Vybruh just taking the time, stalling a little bit. Vybruh knows this match is a loss, but needs to consider how and what adjustments am I going to make into this next game. I think what really hindered Vybruh this game was that turn 1 fake out into Grimmsnarl and then the passive switch into Mega Gengar, expecting fighting moves to head into that slot or a fake out to head into that slot, but instead that just allowed the free setup turn from Kommo-o. So I think a little bit more speed or just a little bit more proactivity. The Emboar is a very strong Pokemon. It's possible that, depending on how the Emboar was trained, a very powerful fighting type attack could have gotten the Kommo-o down to a range where it would not have been able to survive after going for a Clangorous Soul. Vybruh, congratulations on winning that first match in the series. Senna, sorry, congratulations on winning that first match in the series, going up 1-0 in this best of 3. So both trainers are going to reconvene and jump back into this match and get set up. And you really need to consider, if you're Vybruh, how do you adjust for the Protect the President lead that Senna had, and also have a good lead into any sort of sand shenanigans? Because Senna didn't show off any sand there, didn't need to. The Infernape and the Kommo-o really carried that game by themselves with a guest appearance from Houndstone. So I do like having a little bit more offensive pressure at the start. I do think maybe leading that Mega Gengar could be useful. That Dazzling Gleam without the special defense boost on Kommo-o would have done substantially more and could have really turned this game around, but we also don't know what tricks this Mega Gengar has up its sleeves for the sand mode of this team. Leading a Mega Gengar into a Tyranitar Excadrill could be dangerous, so Vybruh really needs to consider what their best option is here. For Senna, I'm not sure what you change in this situation, to be completely honest with you. That lead looked very dominant that game, and I'm not sure you need to have a complete shift in strategy. You might just say, hey, you didn't seem to have any sort of preparedness for what I led in game 1. Can you adjust for game 2, or do I think that I've out-team built you this week enough? So we'll see. Here comes Vybruh, Altaria and Grimmsnarl this time, not leading with the Emboar, but still leading with the Grimmsnarl. And this time we are seeing a hard sand mode. So the Cloud9 from this Altaria is going to completely negate the effects of the weather. So the Excadrill, now the good news is the Excadrill is probably still the fastest thing on the field, depending on how Vybruh's Pokemon are built, and we do know that the Grimmsnarl has Reflect and has Fake Out, so it can prevent any sort of shenanigans from this Excadrill this turn. Excadrill, not wanting to take a Fake Out, goes immediately for Protect, but Fake Out, being red, goes straight into this Tyranitar. No offensive pressure by Senna this turn, and let's see what this Altaria goes for. It goes for a Tailwind, wanting to be able to have its allies be faster on the field even if it switches out. counteracting the Sand Rush of potential from Senna. But now the Fake Out pressure is gone, and you have two very powerful physical attackers. You have to wonder how Vybruh trained his Pokemon to deal with a Mega Tyranitar and an Excadrill. Even with a Reflect, how well are they going to be able to take these hits coming in? There's the Protect. And this is interesting. I would have expected the Cloud9 to show back up. I'm not quite sure how that interaction plays. I assume it doesn't function like... I assume the sand effects are still negated, but I'm not 100% sure. We see the Emboar coming back out, and this is the matchup I think you wanted to see with the Emboar. Here is the Iron Head doing resisted damage into the Emboar, and the Rock Slide is only neutral into this Pokemon, while even neutral, that's still a lot of damage into this Emboar, but the Altaria is completely safe. And now, we have an interesting situation where the Emboar is probably about the fastest thing on the field. This is why the Altaria and Emboar were brought, as an answer to Sand Mode, because Emboar is with Tailwind and no Sand Stream, Sand Rush bonus, is going to outspeed this Excadrill. So we know the Excadrill has Protect and could go for it here, but no, immediately saying, I'm going to switch out my Altaria, go into the Grimmsnarl. We see a Drain Punch coming out, so even with the Tailwind, even with the Sandstream boost, the Tailwind matching the double speed, we see a high horsepower. Unfortunately, with the Focus Sash, the Excadrill was able to stay up through the Drain Punch, and the healing from the Drain Punch is not able to keep this Emboar up. And this is a single target Rock Slide into this Grimmsnarl. It didn't go for Reflect earlier. That is a lot of damage with the sand continuing to chip it down. So there's one Pokemon unrevealed, and it is the Gengar. We know it's a Mega Gengar. We haven't seen what moves it has up its sleeve. A Dazzling Gleam would be pretty good here. There is one more turn of Tailwind if I've counted correctly. 2 more turns of Sandstorm and 1 more turn of Tailwind. So the Sandstorm will outlast the Tailwind. So we'll see if we start trading Protects to try to time these out. We see the Mega Evolution coming out. We know the Mega Gengar does have Protect and Dazzling Gleam, but nothing else at this time. So here's the Fake Out going to go into the Tyranitar, preventing it from moving, and no Protects coming out. So this Dazzling Gleam is just going to take out the Excadrill before it can move, and the Tyranitar with the Sand special defense bonus that it has from being a rock type is going to take that fairly well. So the Tailwind is now faded, but one of the Sand Rush Pokemon are not around to take advantage of the sand. However, from the last game, we know that this Infernape is faster with no speed boosts on either side than this Gengar. You have to imagine that some Protects are coming out. No, sorry, the Tailwind just faded. So you know that this Infernape can just straight go for a Heat Wave, and the Gengar chooses, hey, I need to protect myself this turn. You see the Reflect coming out, not wanting to go down to a potential Rock Slide, but this Infernape, we've only really seen Heat Wave, Protect, and Fake Out. We don't know if it has any actual physical moves like other than the Fake Out. So the Heat Wave, Grimmsnarl doesn't miss again. Grimmsnarl doesn't dodge again, either of these spread moves, and it goes down after getting up that Reflect. So you have to wonder, can this Mega Altaria bring it home? There is no Sand Up for the Cloud9 to neutralize. And you just have to think that this is a really, really rough position. No weather effects, even if the Tyranitar switches out. Altaria is going to be around for a while. But there is also no special defense boost from the sand anymore, meaning a Dazzling Gleam is going to do good damage. So you have to think there's no potential for Perish trap shenanigans at this moment. Otherwise, because it's 3-2, Senna can swap out. Vybruh is trapped on the field. Here comes a Heat Wave. We see another dodge, but it's on Altaria, a Pokemon that we saw in the last game. Doesn't take too much, and this does just about half to this Mega Gengar. That's a lot of damage, but Mega Gengar retaliates, says, I need to get this Infernape off the field immediately. There is the... Wow, severely bulky, even with the Reflect. That knockoff does a lot of damage, and this Altaria is unmolested, able to get off a Tailwind. So now the speed differentials are completely swapped around. Mega Gengar, like you'd expect, will be able to outspeed now. The speed, lack of speed investment not mattering in the face of this Tailwind, and that bulk allowing it to take a double up Heat Wave with spread damage into a Reflect protected knockoff. You have to imagine a Dazzling Gleam and coming out here to chip down the Infernape and do good damage onto this Tyranitar, and we'll see if Senna is going to try to preserve this Tyranitar to get up Sand to better be able to take special hits in the future. So we see the Protect coming out from the Mega Gengar despite having the speed boost. Infernape also going for Protect. So both Pokemon wanting to stay up. Altaria wanting to go for Roost to lose the Flying type, but being at full HP because Sand never chipped it down, it stays Flying type. But with that bulk, with the Reflect, Altaria stays up fairly healthy and goes for Roost. And will be able to go for Roost on following turns. But again, Protects are used up by Infernape and by the Mega Gengar. I really think it might have been smart to swap the Tyranitar out into your last Pokemon to be able to swap the Tyranitar back in to guarantee Sand Chip will take out this Mega Gengar later if you're scared of what we're seeing here, an outspeed takeout with the Shadow Ball. Infernape does go down, so that means there will be no more Sand, and of course there's no Sand because there's Altaria on the field, but with a Rock Slide, the Gengar is taken out, and it's just Mega Altaria versus the world. And you have to wonder, what is Vybruh planning here? We see the Houndstone, again, no Sand to worry about, but with two Pokemon taken out, the last respects from this Pokemon will be doing big damage into this Altaria, even with the physical bulk investment we've seen and this Reflect. And Vybruh is saying, I think I will be the slowest thing on the field after this Tailwind and go down to Perish Song last. That's a bold strategy. Single target Rock Slide is going to do big damage, and then here's the last respects. 150 base power is going to be able to take out this Altaria. I see the vision. You were playing for a Rock Slide miss into being able to just Roost stall, depending on how this Houndstone was built, saving that Perish Song until the end. But congratulations to Senna, making the adjustment needed, saying, I think that you're going to be so scared of what I brought game one that you're going to not quite be ready for my Sand Tech game two. And yeah, Senna goes up 2-0 and has a differential of +6 in the end, I believe. So incredible match from them. Good game from Vybruh. Love to see some potential Perish Trap action, but this match just, it wasn't in the cards. So with that, I will leave you all here, dear viewers, and hope to see you in the next video.